Hey everyone, today I'm going to be talking to you about the brand new RAS 47 from Century Arms. It is their new 100% American made stamped receiver AK. It kind of follows after the Century C39, which was their stamped receiver, 100% made in America. And then it took a couple changes, as well as the changing of the making of the receiver, to include things like changing the furniture to make it more standardized, as well as changing the sight system back to the more traditional style AK sights, as I'll show you later. First, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the specifications of it. It is obviously 7.62 by 39. The overall length is about 37.25 inches. The barrel itself is 16.5 inches, has 1 in 10 twist rate, and the threading on the muzzle is 14 by 1 left-handed threads. They claim the weight is somewhere around 7.8 pounds, which seems about right to me. The entire rifle is black nitrided coating, including the barrel, so it is not a chrome-lined barrel. Century Arms claims that the black nitride will hold up better to corrosion, as well as help make it, at least in the barrel, a more accurate barrel. I'll go ahead and link a video where they talk about it a little bit, but they claim that the barrel will hold 1 MOA for about 12,000 rounds. So I guess time will tell to see how accurate those claims are. Some of the stuff that you get along with it, just standardized, you get the paddle-shaped extended magazine release. You get a safety with the with the ability to hold the bolt open, as well as a included scope rail. So you don't have to worry about trying to retrofit one of these on. Comes with it, which is a nice little addition. Comes with 2 of the Magpul AK magazines. These are the first generation, so not the steel reinforced magazines, but good magazines nonetheless. Comes with a really nice manual. Kind of gives you the basics that you need to know. Tells you about the cleaning cycles, assembly to assembly, just kind of a standard manual. And then it also comes with a chamber flag, which was convenient for me because the range that I was taking it to, unfortunately, you're required to have a chamber flag in it when you're not using it. Take that for what it is, but it does come with one, which is kind of nice. So we'll go ahead and break it open, and we can take a closer look at a lot of the details. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you the internals on this RAS-47. Breaks down just like any other typical AK-47. You'll notice that the receiver cover here, the dust cover, is not ribbed or anything. It's just nice, flat. And then all the springs that you notice on the inside, Century Arms is very proud of the fact that they are, again, 100% American made, and they are Wolf branded springs. So from what I understand, a very high quality spring manufacturer. Take all this apart. As I said earlier, the bolt carrier group, sorry about that. As I said earlier, the bolt carrier group is phosphated coated. You'll notice the bolt carrier here has the lightning cuts, and this is a little bit dirty. Not nothing too terrible, but I haven't cleaned it in about I think it's been about 300 rounds since when I cleaned it the first time, just to get everything nice and lubricated. So still got some coating on it, but everything runs together really well. The bolt rides nicely on the bolt carrier. And then one thing, a lot of the AK purists out there, from what I've been reading, when people are talking about this thing, is I don't know if you can see in there, but the spring on the trigger is not what the traditional coiled spring that you typically see. It is just a regular kind of single piece of metal. So if that bothers you, then I'm sorry, but it seems to work fine for me. You'll notice it does have a double hook trigger, so if you're looking to get a Tapco G2 trigger, you're going to be needing the double hook trigger for that. Everything, again, on the inside, I haven't had to sand down the internals on it at all. Let me grab a flashlight for you. The internals I haven't had to sand down at all. I did that on my M92 PAP just to make everything nice and smooth. So you can see, again, the round count's relatively low, so there's not a whole lot of wear showing on the inside, but it all runs really smoothly in there. so I haven't had any issues with that. Um, I mean, it's a standard AK. It looks exactly the same as, you know, any Bulgarian or Romanian or Yugo AK, just for the except for the fact that it's 100% made in America. So, you know, if you're a purist, you know, that's up to you. But it shoots just as good, if not better, than a lot of the imported AKs that I've had experience with. So for something that's 100% American made, if you know, you take any pride in something like that, you know, this is more than you could ask for as far as quality from an AK-47. One reason I decided to go with this one as opposed to the C39 V2 is, to me, the added weight of a milled receiver wasn't really justifiable to me. You know, I have no problem with the stamped receivers. They work just fine. You know, they're plenty accurate, as accurate as you need it to be, and haven't had any issues with reliability. And also the extra £1.50 that I believe the C39 V2 has on this just isn't worth it to me. So obviously it goes back together just like any traditional AK-47, since it breaks down like any traditional AK-47. So, you know, no crazy issues there, although I always seem to have a hard time getting this top cover on because it always likes to come out of its little notch. You know, a professional would probably edit that out, but I'm not afraid to admit that I am no expert, so I'll go ahead and just leave that in for you guys to make fun of me for. Alright, so let's go ahead and start at the back. So we have a standard wooden Warsaw length buttstock. You'll notice there's no compartment in the rear for a cleaning kit, and you do have a sling swivel down here at the bottom. Now, one thing that makes it different from the C39 V1, the original American-made AK from Century, is it only has the single tang up top and not the one down below, which means that it'll fit a wider variety of furniture available out there in the for AKs, and I believe it will also fit the new furniture coming out from Magpul later this year. You have a actually fairly ergonomic pistol grip here, which is a huge improvement over the standard peg grip that you normally get. I might end up switching this out, but for right now it's more than adequate. The trigger is a proprietary trigger from Century Arms, so they got rid of the Tapco G2 triggers and decided to go with one of these instead. It is actually a fairly crisp trigger. I like it a lot. It's to me, as far as factory triggers go, it's better than Arsenal trigger, which is one of the only other ones besides Tapco and Century that I have experience with. Although I'll probably switch it out with a Geisley once those become available. The safety, as I mentioned earlier, does have the little cutout notch for locking the bolt to the rear, which is nice if you have a range where you have to walk around with the bolt locked open. Now, unfortunately, if you have a last shot hold open magazine, the little notch is too far to the rear in order to be able to lock the magazine, the bolt back, excuse me. When the magazine is empty, you still have to rack the bolt back a little bit further to get it to engage in that notch. You do have the little dimple impressions on both sides, again making it different from, you know, say like a Wasser 10, and from my experience it holds a wide variety of magazines in there really well, which I'll demonstrate to you later in this video. So on this rear sight you have just the standard AK rear sight, the leaf sight back here, with your different adjustments for elevation. Again, they got away from the adjustable rear sight for windage like they had on the original C39, which I'm a big fan of. You have a vented gas tube up here, so if you are planning on getting like an Ultimac grill or something to replace it, keep in mind that those vent tubes are there indeed. And again, they went back to the traditional front post, so you have the adjustments for windage on either side, and then you just twist it up and down for the adjustments on elevation. Now, one thing I did notice with this front sight, when I was zeroing it in, it takes little to no effort in order to rotate that. So I was noticing that under recoil, it was going down very, very slowly and very gently. At this point, I don't think it's moved more than a quarter turn from where I had it when I was trying to zero it, but just something to keep in mind. I don't know if this is just a sample of one, so I don't know if that's going to be a problem that's common or if this is just it. And then it does come with the traditional slant brake that you see on a lot of AK-47s. Something you probably already noticed as I was going through the rest of the rifle is you do have this sling attachment here up front, similar to other AKM pattern rifles out there. Okay, so here I have a random assortment of some of the different magazines that I have. Starting out with the KVAR Circle 10 magazines. Love these things, got the steel reinforcements. These ones lock in a little bit tight, but they do definitely lock in. Takes a little bit extra effort to get it out, but again, it does go in and out. Here, just your standard polymer Tapco magazine. Goes in nice and easy. You know, not a crazy amount of wobble. Mag wobble's never been an issue for me anyway, but works just fine. Then I have just a steel, I believe these are Romanian, just your standard steel mags. Locks in just fine. A little bit more wobble than the Tapco, but again, like I said, not a huge issue for me. Here I got some of the Magpul mags. All my Magpul mags fit in there just fine. A lot less wobble than the others. Again, goes in nice and easy, comes out nice and easy, and works really well. Now, I do also have here one of the steel magazines that I retrofitted with the Weapon Tech hold open follower, so I can demonstrate that to you real quick. So when the magazine is empty, that follower will ride up and hold that bolt open, and because you can't use the safety to lock the bolt open when you do your reload, as soon as you pull the mag out, the bolt slides home to the rear. Now, one thing I also found is that I do have at least one or two of these steel mags that, while they work in my other AKs just fine, for whatever reason refuse to lock into place. When I was at the range, I was really beating on this thing trying to get it to engage, and I just simply could not get it to lock into place. So something to keep in mind. I don't know how common this problem would be. Again, this magazine seems to work fine in my other rifles, but just something to throw out there. So before I show you what kind of groups I was able to get with this thing, I kind of want to give you a little bit of my experience with it thus far. I got it a few days ago, and since then I've put around 400 rounds through it, maybe close to 500. And when I first got it, it was completely bone dry, and I decided to try to see if it would run as dry as it came. And I had initially planned on bringing lube with me just in case it didn't want to function on me, and sure enough, it wouldn't be a outing unless you didn't bring something, so forgot to bring the lube. So when it decided to not want to function at all without lube, I was unable to lubricate it, so I just tried to I had to cut my shooting day a little bit short. What was happening was it was clearly just kind of seizing up. It did not like shooting dry. Again, it was brand new, so it hadn't really been worn in yet. So all those surfaces were still kind of rubbing on each other. And yeah, the bolt didn't want to go to the rear. So it had a really hard time cycling. A lot of times it wouldn't even eject the case. And if it did, it just kind of barely dribbled out. It didn't want to really go anywhere. And occasionally it would go back far enough to eject the case, and then it would jam, trying just kind of failure to feed. It would not really go very cleanly forward, so just kind of get the round stuck in there, and I'd have to rack on it. The next day I took it out after giving it a nice cleaning and full lube job, just to make sure that there would be no excuse for it to not run at that point. And after that it performed flawlessly, with the exception of the Tapco magazine. One of my Tapco magazines, it had one failure to feed. So for what that's worth, it was just on the Tapco magazine, and it was only once with a Tapco magazine, even though I ran a couple different Tapco magazines through it. So just some food for thought there. But again, after lubing it and treating it as you're supposed to treat a firearm, it performed flawlessly. So I was really pleasantly surprised with that. And then also one thing I've noticed too, again, my experience with other AK-47s is I have a Arsenal SLR 107, which is a great rifle. However, when it came to me from the factory, it had a canted front post, which I was pretty disappointed about. When you're paying that much for a rifle, even an AK-47, that's not something you should experience. And I don't know if you can really get a picture of it here, but that is not an issue with this rifle. This rifle, the sights are nicely aligned, in line, concentric with the rest of the rifle, which was very nice. And I will say that compared to my Arsenal, which is considered by most to be some of the best factory-produced AKs out there, the bolt carrier group on this is just as smooth, if not smoother, than my Arsenal. So I was very happy to see how smooth that bolt rode on there. And again, I only have about 400 to 500 rounds through it, so I can only imagine that as my round count goes up, everything will smooth itself out even more. And I haven't had to run sandpaper or anything along the rails like I have on a couple of my other ones. So again, very pleasantly surprised to see how nice and smooth everything was on it. So I'll go ahead and show you what kind of groups I was able to get. Now, before I do that, I will also explain that when I was doing it, I was doing it as configured as you see here, so with iron sights, which for me, I've always had a really hard time getting decent groups out of iron sights to begin with. So take these groups with a grain of salt. By no means is this going to be an accurate representation of the accuracy that you can expect out of this rifle. Hopefully, as my reviewing process goes on with this, I'm trying to procure a scope, because I already have a scope rail for it, and then I plan on switching this out with an Ultimax so I can get some groups just with a standard red dot on there, which I know will improve it significantly. So I'll go ahead and show you those groups now. So for the purposes of this initial review, I was just shooting 3 different kinds of ammunition. I was shooting Red Army Standard, Full Metal Jacket, Tula ammo, Full Metal Jacket, and then Wolf Hollow Points. So anything on the left side is going to be Red Army Standard, on the right is Tula, and then the middle target on what I'm going to show you is the Wolf Hollow Points. So I did 5-shot groups for each of them, so again, all of these are only at 50 yards. Don't pay attention to this one. This is just from tearing off the staple. But also it was raining really hard when I was doing this, so the paper integrity was kind of compromised. So some of the holes might seem a little bigger than they should. But either way, this is just kind of what I was able to get out of it. So again, my eyes are not the best when shooting an AK, especially at something like this. Even 50 yards away, I had a really hard time identifying the target and getting a good group. But either way, kind of standard seems to be, for me, right around 3M away for my good ones, some of them even better. And then I'm confident with an optic or even just a red dot, these groups will tighten up significantly. So you can see I had a pretty decent group from the Tula. Had a couple ones a little further out. This Wolf kind of spread out sideways on me, and then this Red Army Standard. I knew shooting this one that my trigger pulls weren't the greatest, so it spread out pretty far. And then kind of brought it in again with a Tula, minus that little flyer off there to the left. And then on my second target, let's see, up here you can kind of see, not really sure if my other 2 shots were off paper or if I just put them through the same hole, which I doubt. I'll go ahead and say that now. Up here again, kind of similar accuracy with the tool ammo, kind of there around the top. I don't know how well you can see those holes. I got a fairly similar group out of the Wolf Hollow Point as I did on the first target, and then kind of opened up on the Tula down here, and then I'm not really sure where the Red Army Standard rounds went, but generally all low. But again, take these targets with a grain of salt. Like I said, I'm not the greatest shooter out there, and I was shooting at open sights. I would have shot more targets, but the range that I was at, it took me about an hour and a half just to get those 2 targets. it is a real pain to get them to let you go down range and change out your targets. So after about 45 minutes of just standing around twiddling my thumbs, decided to just call it a day, since I knew I was just shooting with irons anyway. But as my review process goes on, in my next video, hopefully I'll have some targets with a magnified optic, as well as just zero magnification red dot. And like I said, I can guarantee that those groups will shrink up considerably. Like I said, Century's making some pretty big claims about the accuracy of this barrel, saying that it will shoot 1 MOA through about 12,000 rounds. And again, I'll link that video in the description, if not put an annotation in here somewhere to that video. But you know, a lot of people knock the AKs for accuracy, but I'll be the first to admit that this gun is more accurate than I am. So again, I'm probably, even with the right conditions, I'm probably not going to be able to get the best groups out of this that it can, you know, definitely outperform me. So you know, just keep that in mind. Overall, though, I would say that this rifle is very high quality. I paid just over $6.25 for it. So at that price range, you know, it's just above the Wasser 10s, and below a lot of the very similar options out there. Even the Arsenals around 1,000 and on up. Not to mention going into the more custom hand-built market. So for $6.25, I think this is probably one of the best rifles you can get. Everything on it, the fit and finish is fantastic. All the milling on all the different parts, like the gas block, the front sight post, everything just kind of seems outstanding. Just kind of what you would expect from a 100% American-made rifle. It's just kind of made me very happy that people are producing these in the United States now at a quality that you know, I don't mind trusting my life to if I had to. So all in all, I say it's a really, really awesome buy. You know, if you guys are in the market for a AK in the, you know, mid-range price range, I don't know if you can do much better than this. Plus, you know, just the novelty of having something 100% American made. So you know, I hope you guys got a little something out of this. Again, I'll be doing a more in-depth review after I've shot it for a few more weeks, up to a month, and I'll let you know how it performs through, you know, the first 1,000 rounds or so. So thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a good day. Thank you.